coming up on Retirement Solutions Television.
Just utilizing Social Security, we were able to help them get an additional $100,000, but as we looked at everything in combination, it ended up being $200,000 extra over their lifetime. It's big. As we walked through all the particulars of the plan, he recognized that because of the tax-free nature of how you can take that money, that it could be a huge benefit to him, not only for the death benefit if he were to pass, and be able to pass that on to his family in a tax-efficient way, but to be able to utilize all through his retirement years.
So how do you manage your retirement assets and not have a meltdown of your own when it comes to the volatility? What that really boils down to is you need to have a plan and a strategy.
And now your hosts of Retirement Solutions Television, the Retirement Brothers, Tyson and Ryan Thacker.
Hello and welcome to Retirement Solutions Television. My name is Ryan Thacker, along with my brother Tyson Thacker, and we are the Retirement Brothers.
We've got 30 minutes worth of action-packed education ready for you. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement Roundtable. I am accompanied, of course, by Ryan and Tyson Thacker of Boss Retirement. And guys, you have a very special publication. I want to let you all know about it. If you're a pre-retiree or a retiree, you're going to want to call in for this. Folks, this is a definitive small guide on Social Security, what you would need to know. We're going to talk about that here today. This is really the what, when, who, how of Social Security. And Tyson, I'm going to start with you. Tell me about this publication.
Yeah, Social Security is so complicated. In fact, there's over 2,700 different rules as far as the publication goes. And so it's no wonder people feel like, what do I do? How do I do it? That's what we really want to focus on, and this is a passion of ours. You know, we don't necessarily get paid for any of this advice, but this becomes a big part of the planning process because so many people need Social Security, but they also need to make sure that they've got the rest of the plan laid out and it works all in concert with each other. And so, you know, I just had a client come in a couple weeks ago, and the very first thing that I asked him is, so tell me what your strategy has been for Social Security. And he said, you know what, I have been on the internet the last 2 days straight, and it's more confusing than ever. And so really our whole goal with this Social Security Decisions Guide is to make sure that we wipe through the clutter and really press that easy button so that people can know for them what they should be doing.
Because you have to mix your Social Security in with your entire plan. I'm not just going to turn it on and then plan the rest of it. It really has to be done together, correct?
Well, the big question is, when do I start taking Social Security? Most of you out there know you can start Social Security at 62. For every year that you delay that Social Security, it's going to be an 8% increase. And so there's two camps out there in Social Security. The first one says, take it at 62 because who knows how long they're going to keep sending those checks. Mm-hmm. The other camp says, wait all the way till 70 because that's going to be your largest Social Security check. The reality is you need to know your number. What is the specific plan? Boss, build the optimal system of security. We want to optimize that to fit within your plan. And Mark, you don't make a Social Security decision in a vacuum. You need to look at the full picture of where you're at. That's the number one mistake that families make.
Some people try to do it.
And they oftentimes they just make a big mistake.
They do.
Right? And they leave, bottom line is, they leave tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table when it comes to Social Security.
And I think people don't realize that it's of that magnitude. Tens of thousands, perhaps over $100,000 of prospective income by planning it properly. Right, Tyson?
Absolutely. Let me give you another example of a prospective client that just walked through our office not too long ago. They came in, they said, I just want to understand how Social Security works. And as we walk through, we always show first, here's how you could maximize, here's how you could wring every nickel out of Social Security. The second thing we do, though, is we say, this is how it works in with the rest of the plan. You know, we have a good friend of ours who is a really good pianist, and he said, look, I could play chopsticks and just use a couple of keys on the keyboard, or as I learned how to play the keyboard, I wanted to use every one of those 88 keys. It's the same thing with a plan.
And then Tyson says, "There's 88 keys on a piano."
Absolutely.
We didn't last during the piano lessons, right?
That's
Even
right.
though Mom wanted us to.
So with this client that came in, just utilizing Social Security, we were able to help them get an additional $100,000. But as we looked at everything in combination, it ended up being $200,000 extra over their lifetime. It's big.
And Ryan, what I was going to say to you is, so listen, if I'm out there and I'm watching today, and we were talking about this on the break, you were telling me that this is either the number one or the number two question that people lead with when they come into the office.
It is. It's not only how you take your Social Security, but also about additional benefits. I'm thinking recently of a recently widowed woman who came into our office, and she was not only going through the stress of losing her husband, but finances were a little bit tight. We were able to find an additional $750 in benefit for her every single month. So you times that by 12, that's $9,000 a year. Money like that means a lot.
And my father says, that's not lunch money now, is it?
That's not chump change, right?
That's not chump change. Hey, Tyson, Ryan, thanks so much. And if you want to get this publication, it's super simple. Just call the number on the screen, and we'd love to send it out to you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
You made it. Years of hard work, investing, planning, and now you're here. The long-awaited reward you spent a lifetime looking forward to. But what now? After years of growing a nest egg, now you may want to manage it. Use it to fund your dreams. Make it last as long as you need it. And leave some for those you love. So what do? Wall Street continues to be uncertain, and some conservative options have dropped through the floor. How do you maintain opportunities for growth and reduce risk of loss from market changes? That's where we come in. We are financial professionals. From investments and insurance products to tax reduction strategies and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, provided by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. You've worked a lifetime to get here. Let us help you enjoy it to the fullest. For a complimentary consultation, simply contact us today.
From my experience, many retirees keep too much of their assets in the stock market after they retire. A well-diversified retirement portfolio should have assets in each of the three different stages. The youth stage, putting money into savings. The adult stage, putting a portion into investments. And when you reach the mature stage, you should transition from growing and risking to protecting and guaranteeing yourself income. If you aren't sure about your risk, call now or go to AskBossRetirement.com to get a free Boss Retirement Blueprint. This is an easy to understand financial review. There's no obligation and no cost if you have saved at least $200,000 for retirement. And here's what you'll get: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored strategy to help guard your assets, a tax analysis to potentially reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow, and an income plan plus a budget analysis. Call now or go to AskBossRetirement.com.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Recently, a client came into our office that had some specific questions because he had never had a retirement plan put in place. He had been all over the country, traveling to different jobs and spent about 5 years in each job. He was in his early 50s, and he wanted to have not only a plan put in place, but he wanted to understand some strategies that he could utilize to be able to not only work towards retirement, but be able to maybe even retire a few years early. So as we walked through his plan together, I looked at a couple of different options for him, and I thought that this might be something that you'd be interested in learning about yourself. So he brought in his 401k statements, he brought in his IRA statements. We did what was called a risk and fee analysis, and he was spending a lot more money than he had ever determined and taking much more risk than he thought that he was taking in his particular scenario. Now, to be clear, because he was in his early 50s, his current portfolio at his work with his 401k, it could not be moved. That could only be moved at the age of 59 and a half. but the other previous employment opportunities that he had had, he could utilize that money and not only be able to have more options with that money, but to be able to have lower fees as well. So when we got back together, I shared the Boss Retirement Blueprint with him. And to his surprise, there was one strategy that he had never heard of before. It was utilizing life insurance in a particular way to help him to be able to take income throughout retirement, but in a tax-free way. We call this the Roth alternative on steroids. And really what we mean by that is when you have a Roth policy, an IRA, a Roth IRA, you don't have the opportunity to grow it too large because there's only so much you can put into it. In this case, you can put a lot more money into the plan than with a Roth IRA. Now, the very first thing that he said to me after I told him that it was a life insurance policy was this: I've only ever bought life insurance for the death benefit. That's what my dad's told me to do. That's what my grandfather's told me to do. In fact, he said, life insurance can be a terrible place to put money. And so I've never even considered life insurance. Well, as we walked through from a taxation perspective, a good, better, and best approach, for him, in his particular situation, it made a lot of sense. As we walked through all the particulars of the plan, he recognized that because of the tax-free nature of how you can take that money, that it could be a huge benefit to him, not only for the death benefit if he were to pass and be able to pass that on to his family in a tax-efficient way, but to be able to utilize all through his retirement years. It also gave him the freedom and flexibility if he did retire early, as he had mentioned in that first time that we had met together, that he was able to retire at any time that it made sense for him to do so, and he had built up the type of retirement that made a difference to him. So we created the entire Boss Retirement Blueprint for him. We took some of his money from his 401k, we utilized it into the market, we put some of the money into what we've been talking about, and we created a scenario that he never dreamt was possible. So if you're interested in finding out more about this type of plan or any other questions you have, please visit our website or come in and start a conversation.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Life, a series of moments. A touch, a look, a laugh. Successful people. It might not be superior imagination. It just might be superior retirement planning. Imagine what's next. Plan today, own tomorrow.
Call Boss Retirement Solutions, 801-610-1234.
Many surveys show that only a small percentage of retirees and pre-retirees feel financially confident about retirement. This is a great time to be calling us to meet face-to-face for your no-cost Boss Retirement Blueprint. Let me tell you what this involves, and there's no obligation. You sit down with me or my team, and we will guide you through our complete retirement review. This includes looking to see if you can reduce what you might pay in taxes. We'll stress test your portfolio, we'll run your mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and even your variable annuity through a stress test that shows where you might be at risk if the economy turns down and certain events happen. We'll even do a fee analysis for you that shows how much you're paying in fees, making sure you're not paying too much in fees, and it's all part of the simplified financial Boss Retirement Blueprint. It's just fantastic. People love this because it simplifies and it's not a huge, hard to understand 150-page financial plan. It's nice and simple and shows where you are and what you ought to be aware of. We'll also run a retirement income analysis to see if you or your spouse are at risk of running out of money in retirement. So call now for your free, no obligation financial review.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
This week we have a great topic that relates to the volatility of the stock market. Often we're asked over and over again, I'm a little bit nervous about where my 401k is. We're at all-time market highs right now. Now what? And these are questions, it doesn't matter if we're at a market high or we're market low, it seems like a lot of questions revolve around the volatility of the stock market. And Tyson, it's easy to see there's events that happen in the media and the news. We live in a 24-hour news cycle right now where some information across the Middle East or in Europe can make a big change. And what does that do to investors?
Well, what you're saying is so valid. In fact, we could have had the same conversation in 2001. We could have had the same conversation in 2008. The time frame may change, but if we have a downturn in the market every 5 years, then what's going to be happening is these same emotions are going to continue. The same volatility is going to happen, and we need to be prepared for it.
So how do you manage your retirement assets and not have a meltdown of your own when it comes to the volatility? What that really boils down to is you need to have a plan and a strategy. Every single aspect of your finances when it comes to retirement starts with having a financial game plan.
It's not that silver bullet of a particular product. There's too many advisors or too many people who say, oh my gosh, I just saw this commercial, I just saw this example. I had a friend who talked to me and said, this is the end-all be-all. It's not about that. It's about having that plan in place.
Well, and what we find is so many of you out there are looking for that silver bullet, the one thing, the one investment vehicle. In fact, the number one question that we're asked all of the time, which is the wrong question, is what stock should I invest in, or what particular investment should I invest in? And that
or what sector is hot, is going to be hot.
Yes.
That's a hot stock tip, not necessarily anything that you should be doing with the plan.
And the mistake is you're just chasing return and ignoring the strategy portion. So how do you set up a strategy to create that financial game plan?
So it boils down to the Boss Retirement Blueprint. It boils down to these buckets that we talked often about here on the show, as well as on our radio show. It starts with making sure that you've got enough cash set aside in that cash bucket for emergencies, ensuring that you have an income plan in place that when you want to retire, ensuring that that income doesn't have a gap, doesn't leave a gap, because most people don't think about that it's income that you need to focus on. And then how about the other buckets, Ryan?
Well, and then you need to make sure that you've got a plan for inflation. You have a plan in your growth strategy that's going to match your risk tolerance. Oftentimes we have families that come in and their risk score is way higher than they want or where they even planned they were going to be.
What does that mean?
Real simple. We use a risk score model, which what that does is it tells us if the market were to go down over the next 6 months, how much would you be comfortable losing or how much would you be comfortable gaining? It's an algorithm that goes through and helps you test your own risk tolerance. This is more than just, are you a conservative investor, are you a moderate investor, or are you an aggressive investor? This literally takes the response to your questions and it gives you a score on 0 to 100. 100 being the highest risk possible, 0 being the lowest risk possible. And what we find is we'll have a family that comes in and we say, how much are you comfortable losing if the market goes down? They may say, I'm comfortable losing 5 to 10% of my portfolio. When we test it and we look at their score on where they're at, they would oftentimes lose 25, 30, maybe even 40% if the market were to go down. That does not match their risk tolerance.
So if you're talking about any piece of the Boss Retirement Blueprint, there needs to be money in each of those buckets to ensure that you've got enough to last you to and through retirement. We'd welcome for you to go to our website or come in and start the conversation so that we can get to know you and your individual situation better.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
It's your retirement. How will you live it? How will you be remembered?
Will you be able to take me on vacation? Will you be there for my ball games? Will you teach me your values? You'll be able to play with me. Oh, help me go to college. How will I remember you?
Have the retirement you dream about. Ask BossRetirement.com.
Having no clear retirement plan is a mistake I see a lot in my financial planning office when I meet someone for the first time. It is extremely rare that someone comes in and has a clearly defined income plan for his or her retirement. One way you'll be able to get a clearly defined retirement income plan is to talk to an independent financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning, not someone who specializes in getting you to retirement, but someone who is dedicated getting you through retirement. If you don't have a clear retirement plan, then be one of the first 5 callers and you'll receive a free complimentary planning review. There's no obligation and no cost if you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you'll receive: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored plan to guard your investments, tax analysis to reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow, and a customized income plan to boost your retirement. Plus, you'll receive a budget assessment to help you manage your cash flow. So call now for your free, no obligation financial review.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Ryan and I have worked together for a long time. Even as early as elementary school, would buy candy and sell it on the playground.
We did. Atomic fireballs, buy them for 5, sell them for 10. Get mad and eat your inventory.
Sometimes when we were eating atomic fireballs, because they were so spicy, so hot, that when we had too many of those, that created a little problem. But other than that, it was kind of fun.
Growing up with 7 kids, you learn really fast that everyone needs to work together. When you work together, great things can happen. We definitely learned that work ethic growing up, and that's something that we still have with us today.
2 guests, brothers Ryan and Tyson Thacker. You are with Boss Retirement Solutions, a retirement advisement company. And
what it comes down to is you've got to take care of your needs first.
As you get closer to retirement, within 5 years, you really need to pare back the risk that you're taking.
Our approach